Hello, welcome to my channel, The Ascension Guide. I'm your guide, Joe Martin. So, today's message from Ariah was kind of an answer to a query that we had um, when I was in a channeling session about, two different things really. The first thing is understanding, kind of how our higher self and our guardian angel and all that kind of interact, and also how they gave a cool analogy for that, and how another analogy for how we are all one, and how source, we're all source, and source is all us, and we're just individual um, extensions of that, experiencing consciousness in all of its many different expressions. So, the first one, we were asking how, Ariah would describe themselves compared to myself or my higher self, or how that works. And, this is true for all individuals and their higher selves and their guardian angels and spirit guides, or however, different ways you want to describe it. But essentially, what they said is if you took like a quartz crystal, any kind of crystal, and you were to shine a flashlight through it, and you were to take multiple crystals and line them up all the way down and shine that light through it, that light's going to permeate through each crystal, but it's also going to refract and reflect off of each crystal in its own way. So each crystal is the higher self, the guardian angel, yourself, your lower self, whatever it is. So that light is the same light. It's coming through, that's source energy, right? Source energy is coming through, and it's permeating through all your different layers of you and those involved with you. But it's all reflecting and refracting that light in its own individual ways that, it's its own expression. So, for instance, if you have, a clear quartz at one end and a amethyst at the other end, it's going to reflect and, some of it's going to be that purple light at the end, and some of it's going to be clear light coming through before. But it's all that same original source light that's coming through, and basically giving that essence to every line through that soul being, essentially. And then, we have like our oversoul, our higher self, then our guardian angels, and all those different things that are sort of part of us, but yet we're all one at the same time, right? You and I, we're all one. We're all the creator. We're all the same thing, essentially. And so that leads to the second analogy, which I thought was a pretty cool one to help sort of understand, we're all one, but yet there's so much separation. There's so much, this is mine and that's yours. And, really a forgetfulness of how we are all the same thing. We are all one. So the way that they explained it, which I thought really helped kind of clear it up and, shine it in a different light, if you will. As they said, think of source, creator, God, whatever you want to call it, as a tree. And that tree has its roots that go into the ground. It has the trunk. It has its branches. It has the littler branches that come off, and then it has all the individual leaves. So it said, think of a tree as source. And then the branches would be, the oversouls. And, the littler branches would be your higher selves. And then the leaves would be the individual consciousness expressing themselves in their own unique and individual way. Each of them experiences the sun and the rain and the wind in their own way. And then they report that information back to the tree, which would be source. And the tree learns from all those different computations and all those different, inputs that it gets from all those different sources. And then it creates its own, interpretation of the world. So each of us is a little leaf, that's out here experiencing consciousness and experiencing the world, the universe, however you want to, describe it, whatever level you want to go to, in our own way. And then we're reporting that information back to source, which takes all this information and stores it and learns and grows and expands its consciousness. And as we are just fractals of source, and then, our oversouls, or whatever you want to call it, are a fractal of source, and then a fractal of that would be our higher self, and then us, and then it's fractals infinitely in all directions. But to understand that we are that all one, we are source expressing itself in all the many different ways. So if you think of it in that terms, and then I think I've mentioned it before in a different video, um, about thinking of ourselves, like we're in a movie, and Earth is a school, right? So we're here to learn, we're here to experience life and all of its different possibilities. So think of yourself as source, and you're expressing yourself in all these different ways. You want to see all the different possibilities, right? You wouldn't want to have everybody be a cookie cutter society where everybody thinks like this and dresses like this and acts like that. That's the exact opposite. You would want to have the freedom of expression in all of its different forms, good, bad, and indifferent, so that you could gain that knowledge of what those things are and how they interact with one another. So understand your role in this movie. Understand that you're an actor in a movie that's already, I don't want to say it's already written, but it's kind of written, and we're writing it as we go. So when we try to fight these things, when we try to swim upstream, as they tell me, that's when our lives become more difficult. When we try to, sometimes attach logical meanings to things when illogical things happen. And that's just part of it. And we need to understand that we don't understand everything, and that we're not going to in this incarnation, in this form. We're limited, and it's done on purpose. Because if we knew everything and we remembered everything, then what good would the school be? What would we learn? So we have to be shown, or at least given the illusion, that we are not all powerful and we are not one, we are not the creator. It creates this illusion of separation, which allows us to experience all these different conditions and allows us to have these different experiences for consciousness in order to understand the different expressions and all the different ways through evolution. So, yeah, I thought those were some really cool analogies, metaphors, whatever you want to call them, for how, we're all one and one part of this consciousness and expressing ourselves. So I thought it'd be a cool video to share with you guys. As always, if you get any value out of this, I'd appreciate if you like, share, subscribe, all those good things. It helps the algorithm, helps other people to see these messages, which is the most important thing. Trying to get everybody on the same wavelength and get everybody prepared for this ascension. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate it. Till the next video. Love and light.